Hi everyone! So in this video, we'll talk about breaking down downward facing dog, or in Sanskrit, it's called Adho Mukha Svanasana, which is always quite a handful to say. So in class, I always just refer to it as downward facing dog. Okay. So what you will need for this video is your blocks and of course your mat, and hopefully you'll look at down dog differently after watching. Okay, so we'll talk about downward facing dog, and it's good to start with the hands. Okay. So normally what I see in beginners is that people would usually put all of their weight on their wrists. So tendency is either the hands will start to lift and the bulk of your weight is being carried by the wrists. So before you even lift up your butt into that V shape in down dog, what you want is to already activate the forearms and then start to press your hands away. So the pushing forward of the hands, the reaction of that is your butt reaching back. Okay. So we'll break that down one by one, and we'll start off first in tabletop. So from here, okay, so as a general guide, you already want your hands shoulder width apart, and then already start to spread your fingers wide. Okay. And then before you even lift the knees up, imagine you're trying to drum the fingers or press your fingertips down towards the mat, and you'll start to feel your forearms activate. Okay. So get that sensation or effort first. Okay. And then when you tuck the toes and then start to lift the knees up, a lot of your weight will already shift towards the hands. So what you want, the action of trying to slide the hands forward. So if we do that now, when you try to slide the hands forward, the reaction is that my tailbone or my butt will reach back. So you can do that several times and then see how that feels for your hands, and then see how the weight is distributed into your hands rather than on the wrists. Okay? And then from there, we also want to think about our shoulders. So what happens, and what I see in most beginners, is that when they lift up to downward facing dog, either the belly gives out, and as if you want to go into a back bend. Okay? So what we want is to hug the belly in. Okay? So hug the belly in, and then imagine you're trying to slightly round through your upper back. When you get those two actions together, you'll feel your shoulder blades sort of hug in your upper back, and together with your hands trying to slide forward, the reaction is this length in the spine. Okay. So again, distributing the weight on the hands, activating the front part of your body. And then the last part, and what I also see in most beginners, is that when they start to lift the hips up, they're sort of in this half plank, half downward facing dog. Okay? So to get that sensation of shifting the weight towards the legs, we'll use a block. We'll place it between your inner thighs, and then just gently squeeze or hug the block in. So that effort of hugging the block in, okay, will help shift the weight back towards the legs. Okay. So if we combine all those efforts together, so we'll press down on the fingertips as you spread the fingers wide, tuck the toes. As you start to lift up, imagine you're trying to slide the hands forward so that the reaction is your butt reaching back. And then as you reach back, okay, you can always adjust your stance, hugging that block, and then combine that with bracing the front part of the belly and then finding that reach. So from here, as you feel the block between the legs, and if your hamstrings are generally tight or not yet as cooperative, you can bend slightly at the knees. And then that release at the hamstrings combine that with pressing the hands forward. So notice that I'm able to lengthen my back a little bit more. Okay? And then working towards straightening out the knees, maybe reaching or pressing the heels down towards the mat. Okay? And then remember, the feet are hip-width apart, and in general direction of the toes are pointing forward. And then stay here for a few breaths, see how this feels. And then we'll slowly bring the knees down on the mat. So this time we'll try it without the blocks. Okay. So start off with your hands shoulder width apart. Spread the fingers wide, pressing down up to the fingertips and maybe even the knuckles. Tuck the toes. Then as you start to float the knees up, your front body has to brace. So navel draws in towards the spine. And then remember the block between the thighs, hugging that in. As you try to slide the hands forward, the tailbone or the butt will reach back, finding that length. And then from here, you can always adjust your stance. Okay? And then if the hamstrings are not yet cooperative in your first down dog, keep the knees slightly bent and then add that pressing away action. Okay? And then maybe working towards straightening out the knees as the heels reach down towards the mat. And then staying here for a few cycles of breath. And then when you're ready to come down, bringing the knees down onto the mat. And then that's your downward facing dog. So I hope you enjoyed the video and you were able to follow the efforts in downward facing dog. And with that breakdown, well, because down dog is used frequently in a yoga class, and if this is your first time doing downward facing dog, I hope you look at it differently now and it is more accessible for you. So I would like to thank you for watching. This is Ever Yoga by Jo and Daya, sharing everyday yoga for everybody.
Don't forget about thumbs up.